She's just like you were, Mom hissed, her fingers digging into my sister's shoulder. I froze in the doorway, my suitcase still in hand. 10 years gone, and this was my welcome. Cassie's terrified eyes, Mom's twisted smile, the sound of something shattering in the kitchen. Dad, probably. My pulse hit 140 as memories crashed back. The same grip on my own shoulder, the same fear in Cassie's eyes that I'd seen in the mirror. She was only 7 when I left. Now 17, she looked like a ghost of myself. Alex, Cassie whispered, hope and disbelief mixing in her voice. Mom's head snapped toward me. You weren't supposed to be here until tomorrow. Her hand dropped from Cassie's shoulder, but I'd already seen everything I needed to. Plans changed, I said, my voice steadier than my hands. The small leather journal in my pocket felt like it weighed 100 pounds. I'd found it yesterday while unpacking old boxes, my childhood diary, documenting years of discipline that was anything but. I'd brought it as proof, as armor. Now I realized I'd need something stronger. Welcome home, social worker, Mom said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Come to save us all with your professional expertise? My childhood bedroom remained frozen in time, posters of bands I no longer listened to, trophies from competitions I'd been forced to enter. The only thing missing was me, the terrified teenager who'd escaped 10 years ago with nothing but a backpack and $237 saved from a job Mom didn't know about. From downstairs, I heard the muffled sounds of family dinner preparation. The familiar soundtrack of my youth, Mom's too loud instructions, Dad's tense silence, and now Cassie's quiet responses. I moved to the window, looking at the oak tree I'd climbed down the night I left. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily, my older sister. Asterisk, be nice to Mom and Dad. They've been through enough with you gone. Asterisk, I almost laughed. Emily, 3 years older, had morphed from my protector into their defender after I left. Stockholm Syndrome, perhaps, or just the path of least resistance. Either way, I was on my own. I unpacked slowly, methodically, like I taught the kids at the youth center. Control what you can when everything else feels chaotic. As I slid my clothes into the old dresser, my fingers brushed against something wedged in the back of the drawer. A small, worn notebook. Not mine. My heart stopped as I opened it and saw Cassie's careful handwriting. The first entry was dated 3 years ago. Mom took my phone again today. Said I was ungrateful like Alex. I don't remember Alex much, but Mom hates when I ask about him. Asterisk, I sank onto the bed, flipping through pages of my sister's hidden thoughts. The entries became more desperate as they got more recent. Got a B+ in chemistry. Dad didn't speak to me for 2 days. Asterisk, Mom accidentally spilled bleach on my art project. Said it was my fault for leaving it out. Asterisk, tried to call the number Ms. Peterson gave me, but Mom checks the phone records. Asterisk, Ms. Peterson. The name appeared several times. A teacher who'd noticed something. A potential ally. The last entry was from just last week. They're making me quit the art program. Mom says it's distracting me from real studies. Dad says art school is for failures. I don't know what to do. Alex is coming home next week. Maybe he'll help. Maybe he'll understand. Asterisk, I closed the journal, tucking it safely with my own. The weight in my chest had transformed from dread to something harder, colder. Something like resolve. Dinner's ready. Mom's voice called up, sickly sweet. The voice she used when others might hear. I took a deep breath and headed downstairs. The battle had just begun. Tell us more about your fancy social worker job, Dad said, cutting his meat with precision. His voice was neutral, but the slight emphasis on social worker spoke volumes. A wasted career, in his estimation. Not prestigious enough. I work primarily with teenagers transitioning out of foster care or difficult home situations. I replied, watching Cassie from the corner of my eye. She hadn't touched her food, helping them build independent lives. How ironic, Mom said with a thin smile. Considering how you left. I didn't leave, Mom. I escaped. The words hung in the air. Dad's knife stopped mid-cut. Mom's smile froze. Only Cassie looked up, her eyes suddenly alert. Always so dramatic, Mom finally said with a dismissive wave. You had everything a child could want. Is that what you tell yourself? I asked, setting down my fork. Is that what you tell Cassie when you're destroying her artwork or making her quit programs she loves? The silence that followed was deafening. Dad's face darkened. You've been home less than 3 hours, Alex. Don't start this. Start what? Telling the truth. I turned to Cassie. How long has MS Peterson been trying to help you?" Cassie's eyes widened in panic, darting to Mom, who was now gripping her water glass so tightly I thought it might shatter. "Who is Miss Peterson?" Mom asked, her voice dangerously quiet. "My art teacher," Cassie whispered. "The one who gave you resources for abused teenagers," I added. The diary burned in my pocket like a live coal. Mom slammed her hand on the table. "How dare you come into this house and make these ridiculous accusations? After all we've sacrificed for you." "Cassie, go to your room," Dad ordered. "No," I said firmly. "Cassie stays. This involves her more than anyone." Dad stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. "This is still my house, Alexander, and you don't give orders here." I stood as well, taller than him now. "Then I'll take Cassie somewhere else. Somewhere safe." "You can't do that," Mom hissed. "She's a minor. She's on medication. She needs us." "What medication?" I asked, looking at Cassie, whose face had gone pale. "For her anxiety and depression," Dad said, as if it were obvious. "She's not stable. Emily can tell you." On cue, my phone buzzed. Another text from Emily. * Mom says you're causing problems again. Cassie needs stability, not your drama. * I looked at Cassie. "Are you taking medication?" She nodded slightly. "Who prescribed it?" "Dr. Winters," Mom answered for her. The name hit me like a blow. Dr. Winters, the same psychiatrist they'd taken me to. The one who'd prescribed whatever Mom told him to without ever speaking to me alone. "Does Dr. Winters ever see you without Mom or Dad in the room?" I asked Cassie. Her silence was answer enough. "This is ridiculous," Dad snapped. "Cassie, go to your room now." This time, Cassie stood. But instead of heading upstairs, she moved to stand beside me. "I want to see what Alex found," she said quietly. Mom's face drained of color. "What are you talking about?" I reached into my pocket and placed Cassie's journal on the table. "I found this in my old dresser, hidden where you wouldn't look." Cassie's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't move away from me. "You went through her private things?" Mom gasped, the hypocrisy almost comical. "Like you go through her phone, her art supplies, her entire life?" I countered. Dad lunged for the journal, but I was faster, sliding it back into my pocket. "That's private," he bellowed. "Yes, it is," I agreed. "And it's not the only documentation we have." That stopped him. "What do you mean, we?" "Miss Peterson has been keeping records." I bluffed, watching their reactions carefully. "And so have I." Mom's face twisted with rage. "Emily was right. You came back to cause trouble, to turn Cassie against us. After everything we've done, after everything you've done," I interrupted. "You should be grateful I'm not calling CPS right now." "You wouldn't dare," Dad growled. "Not with your sister's medical conditions. You know what foster care is like better than anyone." He had me there, and he knew it. Cassie was on medication, likely unnecessarily, but abruptly stopping could be dangerous. And the foster system, while sometimes necessary, was far from perfect. As a social worker, I knew the statistics all too well. "Cassie comes with me tonight," I said firmly. "To Emily's or a hotel, I don't care which. Tomorrow, we talk about long-term arrangements." "She's not going anywhere," Mom said. "She has school, doctor's appointments. You can't just take her." "Watch me," I replied, taking Cassie's hand. "Pack a bag," I told her. "Just essentials." As Cassie headed upstairs, Dad stepped closer to me. "You always were selfish," he said, his voice low. "Always thinking about yourself. Cassie has a condition. She needs structure, discipline. Without her medication, she'll end up hurting herself." "Like I supposedly would?" I challenged. "Funny how I've been just fine without your help for 10 years. You abandoned your family," Mom spat. "Left us to deal with the fallout. Emily had to step up when you ran away. Emily became what you wanted, compliant. Don't drag her into this." Dad's phone rang. He answered, turning away slightly. "Yes, she's here. With Alex." A pause. "I don't know, Emily. He's making accusations. Found Cassie's journal." Another pause. "I understand. We'll see you soon." He hung up. "Emily's coming over. She'll talk some sense into both of you." Perfect. The family mediator, arriving to maintain the status quo. I check my watch. She has 20 minutes. Then Cassie and I are leaving. Emily arrived in 15, bursting through the door like she owned the place. At 32, she looked more like Mom than ever. The same sharp features, the same authoritative stance. The perfect corporate lawyer, just as our parents had planned. "What do you think you're doing?" she demanded, not bothering with a greeting. "Hello to you too, Em." I replied. Cassie stood beside me in the living room, a small backpack clutched to her chest. I'm taking Cassie somewhere safe for the night. Emily turned to our parents, who hovered in the doorway like wounded victims. He can't do that, right? She's a minor. He found her journal, Mom said, her voice trembling for Emily's benefit. He's using it to manipulate her. Emily frowned. What journal? I pulled Cassie's notebook from my pocket, holding it out to my sister. See for yourself. Emily hesitated, then took it, flipping through pages with her lawyer's efficiency. Her expression remained neutral, but I saw the slight widening of her eyes at certain passages. This is just teenage angst, she said finally, but without conviction. All kids feel misunderstood. Did all kids have their art destroyed? Get put on unnecessary medication? Get isolated from anyone who might help them? I challenged. Emily handed the journal back to me. You're overreacting, just like you always did. You know what happened in this house, I said quietly. You protected me until you couldn't anymore. Then you joined them. I grew up, she snapped. I realized that our parents did the best they could with difficult children. Is that what I was? Difficult. I looked at Cassie. Is that what she is? Emily's facade cracked slightly. Things weren't perfect, but tell her about the closest. I interrupted. Tell her about being locked in for hours. Tell her about dinner withdrawals, about the conferences with teachers to ensure they knew we were troubled before we even had a chance. Stop it, Emily hissed. Or tell her about how you used to sneak me food when they decided I didn't deserve dinner, before you decided it was easier to be on their side. Emily turned to Cassie. Your brother has issues, Cassie. He always has. That's why he left without a word, without caring what happened to any of us after. I left you my email, I said quietly. You never wrote. Emily flinched. I wrote. For months. I stared at her. I never got anything. We both turned to our parents, who suddenly found the carpet fascinating. You blocked her emails? I asked, though I already knew the answer. We were protecting her from your influence, Dad said stiffly. Emily's face went blank, then hard. The lawyer face I'd seen in the photos on her firm's website. You told me he never responded, that he didn't care. Mom stepped forward, hand outstretched. Emily, you have to understand. Stop talking, Emily said, her voice cold. She turned to me. Take Cassie to my place. The key is under the ceramic frog on the porch. I'll be there in an hour. Emily, Mom gasped. You can't seriously. I said stop talking. Emily pulled out her phone. I need to make some calls. Starting with Dr. Winter's medical board. Dad lunged forward. You will do no such thing. After everything we've given me? Emily laughed, a harsh sound. You mean my education that I'm still paying for? The connections that were really just surveillance? The support that came with 1,000 strings? She shook her head. I've been paying for your gifts my entire adult life. I took Cassie's hand, guiding her toward the door while our parents were focused on Emily. The look of shocked betrayal on their faces would have been satisfying if it wasn't so pathetic. This isn't over, Dad called after us as we stepped outside. She needs her medication. She has appointments. I'll handle it, Emily replied, following us out. At the door, she turned back to them. Don't call me. Don't come over. My security team has your pictures now. As we walked to our cars, Emily turned to me. I didn't know, she said quietly. About the emails. About Cassie. I thought they'd changed. They never change, I replied. They just find new targets. Cassie looked between us, clutching her backpack. What happens now? Emily straightened, her lawyer persona returning. Now we get you new doctors. Real evaluations. And she glanced at me. We build a case. A case? Cassie asked. Abuse and medical neglect, Emily said matter-of-factly. I have colleagues who specialize in family law, with both our testimonies and your journal. She trailed off, then looked at me. That is, if you're staying this time. The question hung in the air between us. A decade of silence, misunderstanding, and separate paths. I'm not going anywhere, I said firmly, putting my arm around Cassie's shoulders. Not until this is finished. Emily nodded once, a ghost of our old solidarity returning. Then I'll see you both at my place. We have work to do. 3 months later, I stood on the courthouse steps, Cassie beside me. The hearing had been brief but conclusive. Full custody transferred to me, with Emily as backup guardian. Mandatory therapy for our parents if they ever wanted supervised visitation, which, predictably, they refused. Is it really over? Cassie asked, her voice stronger than it had been that first night. 3 months of proper therapy and gradually reduced medication had worked wonders. This part is, I replied, watching as our parents pushed past reporters on their way to their car. Mom's carefully crafted community image was in shambles. Dad's partners at the architectural firm had asked for his resignation after Emily's evidence became public. They'd lost everything that mattered to them, their reputation. Emily joined us, legal briefcase in hand. The house is sold. Their appeal was denied. She handed Cassie an envelope. Your college fund, untangled from their accounts. Plus damages. Cassie took it, her hands steady. I never thought I'd actually get to go to art school. Michigan Institute of Arts has an excellent program, I said, thinking of the acceptance letter we'd celebrated last week. And it's only a 3-hour drive from my place in Chicago. Cassie smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. Still can't believe I'm moving in with you. Temporarily, I reminded her. Just until orientation in August. Then you're officially a college student with a very uncool brother who'll visit on weekends. Emily checked her watch. The movers should be done at your new place by now. Ready to see it? I nodded, looking back at the courthouse one last time. 10 years ago, I'd fled in the night, alone and terrified. Today, I walked away in broad daylight, with my sister beside me and our future ahead. Hey, Cassie said suddenly. Do you think Miss Peterson would come to my graduation next month? She's the one who kept telling me to hold on, that things could change. I think she'd be honored, I replied. We wouldn't be here without her noticing what was happening. As we walked to the car, a reporter stepped forward. Mr. Cole, do you have any comment on the judge's decision today? I considered the question, thinking about all the children I'd worked with over the years, all the Cassies still trapped in homes like ours had been. The price of silence is too high, I said finally. For victims and for bystanders. That's my only comment. As we drove away, Cassie opened her journal, a new one, filled with sketches and plans rather than fear and despair. Emily talked about the dinner reservation she'd made to celebrate. The weight that had sat on my chest for 10 years, the one that had returned full force when I'd walked back into that house, finally began to lift. Some prices were too high to pay. But some fights were worth every penny. Was I right to come back and confront my parents after all these years? Would you have fought for your sibling the same way, even if it meant tearing apart what was left of your family?